and welcome to another episode of Feminine Scope with Tara. I am Amanda Ezekwe, sitting in for Tara. Feminine Scope is a program that has been created to address issues affecting women in the society, helping them realize their strength. Every year, the world observes 16 days of activism against gender-based violence campaign. This year's edition was slated for 25th of November to the 10th of December. This is popularly celebrated as an international day for the elimination of violence against women. A recent report from the United Nations, based on the data from 13 countries since the pandemic, shows that 2 in 3 women reported that they are, or a woman they know, experience some form of violence, and only 1 in 10 women go to the police for help. While gender-based violence is not inevitable, it can and must be prevented. To raise awareness, this year's theme is Orange the World, End Violence Against Women Now. To discuss this is my guest, a certified gender-based violence advocate, an author, and the founder of Good News Club, Philippian Mission. Please join us after the break. Welcome back. Gender-based violence against women and girls is one of the most widespread, persistent, and devastating human rights violations in our world today, and remains largely unreported due to the silence, stigma, and shame surrounding it. To discuss this with us is Lois Aderomose, a gender-certified based violence advocate, an author, and the founder of Good News Club, Philippian Mission. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Gender-based violence.
Yes.
What is gender-based violence? Because some people don't really understand what it is.
Okay, so I don't like calling it gender-based violence. I call it sexual and gender-based violence. Sexual and gender-based violence is any violence act that targets a person because of his or her gender. And we have this on the horizon since after the COVID-19, the COVID-19 lockdown and all of that. So it has been on the rising. You get to see examples of, domestic violence, physical violence, emotional violence, economical violence. We see stalking and all of that. So it has been on the rising. And I'm happy because we're doing this within the 16 days of activism, yes, in commemoration of the 16 days of activism. So I'm really glad to be here. Yeah.
The theme for this year, Orange.
Okay, the global theme for the 16 days of activism is End Violence Against Women Now. Like now, end violence against women now.
And Orange the World follows.
Yes.
Because I see everyone wearing orange-colored T-shirts and all that.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to gender-based violence, most people assert it to sexual gender-based violence.
Yeah.
What is sexual assault? Because people just feel, only when someone is raped, that's when it's actually called an assault. Okay,
sexual assault that's the reason why I don't just call it gender-based violence. I call it sexual and gender-based violence because sexual assault on its own is what a lot of people talk about. And that's like, it takes like about 70% of, the remaining acts of violence within the sexual and gender-based violence. So sexual assault is any sexual act you don't approve of, and the person tries to do that. And we have examples of inappropriate touching, rape, attempted rape, child molestation. All of these things are termed sexual assault.
What are the contributing factors that, lead to this sexual gender-based violence?
Okay, we have a lot of things, that causes all of this. And, that was why I talked about the COVID-19. During the lockdown, we have a lot of people that were at home, and they were not, when we're talking about intimate partner violence now, under the gender-based violence, they were at home, so they were not friends. Everybody goes to work and come back. And because they were not friends, you know, we had cases of assault. We had cases of the husband beating the wife and beating the children mercilessly because you don't even know them. You go to work in the morning, you come back, you don't know how grown they are, you know, and all of that.
You don't spend time with them.
You don't spend time with them. So that is one of the reasons when you spend time, you know, far away from home or far away from your kids. We have other reasons, you know, that can cause sexual and gender-based violence.
Cultural reasons too.
Yeah, we have. When it comes to female genital mutilation, is a cultural reason. And we also have religious reasons when it comes to female genital mutilation. Now, a lot of people don't know the meaning of female genital mutilation. They term it circumcision, but I don't call it circumcision because it's a gruesome violation of the female's human rights. So female genital mutilation is a partial or total cut on the female external genitalia. So that's like an abomination. That's what I term it as. And then a lot of people do this due to cultural reasons. And I met with one woman that usually cuts, and she was saying that if the clitoris is not cut off, any woman that is giving birth, that child will die.
Wow.
So that's one of her reasons. And that is the reason why they have been doing it over the years.
So they've believed in that myth for so long.
For so long. And now there are some people, you know, that do not even know what it means, but because they met their parents doing it, so they just continue.
Like a generational thing.
So it's like a social norm, a cultural norm that just continues from generation to generation. So other people say they have religious reasons that you know, people just draft out their doctrines from different aspects of their religion, and then they just state it as, you need to be circumcised and all of that. But female genital mutilation is a big issue, and we really need to, you know, focus on it because it doesn't just have a short-term implication. It has both a short-term implication and a long-term implication. The short-term implication at that particular time may just be bleeding, you know, extreme pain, urine retention, a whole lot of other things. I've not been caught, but I've seen girls that have been caught. I've seen women that have been caught, and it's actually a big issue. Then the long-term complication is, you know, complication during childbirth. You see a lot of them have to do the cesarean section before they can give birth. We have a whole lot of other reasons.
Can you say the religious part? What exactly? Can you throw more light into that? Okay,
I would explain this. There was a time I met a woman. That was even how I knew there was a religious backing to female genital mutilation. I met a woman, we were just discussing, and she asked me, what do you do? I told her, I'm a member of the global media campaign to end FGM. She was like, what is FGM? Then I explained to her, and she was like, you are not caught. How is it that you're not caught? And I'm like, no, I'm not caught. She was surprised that what were your parents looking at that they didn't caught you? She was not looking at me as if I was a sinner and my parents were sinners. So I called her, and then I explained the things behind female genital mutilation. I told her the reasons why you should not even do these things. I explained to her, I told her the long-term complication, the short-term, you know, in detail. When I explained everything, she now looked back and was like, okay, that was why, because she had, I think she has 4 children. She had a series of miscarriages afterwards. She had a lot of complications here and there. So she was now thinking, that, okay, this was the cause, and this was the reason why I have, you know, I've been going through this problem. And when I asked her, she said, I said, okay, so if you have a girl child, would you have done that? She said, I would have done that. I said, why? She said, because the Bible said so. She was a Christian. I said, where did the Bible say so? Then she started talking about the laws of Moses. I can't even remember that part when she was just, you know, drafting it out from the Bible. The law of Moses was talking about, you know, circumcising everybody.
With full conviction.
With full conviction. And those are things that, you know, you need to understand fully. You know, the Bible is not just a book that you just read like a storybook. There are histories behind it. There are, you know, things that you need to understand, the preceding verses, before you just jump into one verse and just conclude that, okay, this is what we're supposed to do. So I explained to her, and I told her, okay, you're not supposed to do this to a girl child, but it's okay to do it to a boy child. Because when you do it to a boy child, it reduces a lot of things. It reduces penile cancer, dirty, and a whole lot of other things. But for the girls, there is no advantage. It doesn't do anything to help the girl child. It just affects her It affects everything about her. It affects her sexual and reproductive health, and it goes a long way. It also affects her marriage, because we have issues of that. We see divorce here and there, and when you search, you
find out that is actually the cause.
Exactly, she was mutilated. I was also speaking to a friend of mine, and she was I have a girl in my area that's going through this problem. Oh, maybe I should link you with her. I said, what's the problem? She said she was caught, and because she was caught, she doesn't, allow her husband, and because she doesn't, because when you are caught, you don't have the sexual urge. Still, because she was caught, she cannot do all of that. So when her husband comes, she drives him away. So I was like, okay, she could bring her, and then we talk about these things, because women that have gone through female genital mutilation needs to be counseled, needs to, go through a lot of counseling and all of that, because it starts from the mind.
Yes.
It starts from the mind, and I believe that you can be a survivor.
Definitely. Like female genital mutilation is like a hidden thing that has not really been spoken about.
Yeah.
Now people are getting aware of it, which is a very good one.
Yeah.
But something that really struck me is when I found out that stalking is a gender-based violation.
Yeah. Stalking, it's actually in the VAP law. There is, I can't remember specifically, if you are caught stalking a person, there is a fine. And I think there are some years of imprisonment.
For real?
Yes. It's there. So you don't stalk people, and they do, and violent people, it doesn't just start from, stalking. When you start telling them that, okay, you tell your abuser, I'm not going to do this anymore, I don't want this and all of that, then he begins to stalk you. He begins to follow you everywhere. Oh, there's a reason why she says she's not going to do this anymore. So what is the reason? Why is she doing this? Why is she doing that? And all of that. And then some other ones are obsessed. And because they are obsessed with that particular person, they follow you everywhere. They go to your workplace. They check you at your workplace. What's she doing? Who is she talking to? Anybody that she's talking to, they follow those people to go and check what is the relationship, and all of that. And aside that, you create fear in the heart of the victim. So stalking is part of violence. Economical violence is also part of it. When you control a person's access to income or finances. This happens to married people a lot when they have
domestic violence.
Yeah, when they have their own they have their own salaries, and when they come home, the husband says, "Give me your salary."
You want to take out power from her?
Yes, give me your salary. I want everything from you, and let's know how you send everything to my account. When you need money, I can be sending it to you bit by bit. I can send, give me your budget and all of that. No, there's a difference between you understanding with your husband that I would give you my money, and we'll talk about this, and we'll know how to go about it.
My own terms.
Yeah, my own terms. And that is even communication. We're expressing each other. We're meeting each other halfway. Not just telling me, give me my money, give me your money, give me everything you have. No, that is a violation. That is a gruesome violation of her rights. It's economical violence, and it's also in the VAP law. There are years of imprisonment, and there's a fine.
Do people even realize they're being abused? Because many people don't.
Yeah, I was speaking at a podcast. And somebody the host was talking to me about the fact that she has a friend that her boyfriend is always beating, always, humiliating her. That is emotional violence, trying to put her down and all of that. And when her friends try to talk to her, what's going on? Why is your boyfriend always doing this to you in public? Why is he doing this and all of that? And she's like, no, it's a form of discipline. That's how it's supposed to be. Don't your boyfriend do that to you? That means he doesn't love you.
So she sees it as a normal thing.
As a normal thing. So I was speaking at the podcast, and I was saying that there's a need to break some normals that have lots of disadvantages. Because this normal you are talking about, probably the guy saw his father beating his mother, and all of this has been going on and on and on, and he felt like, okay, the father has a right to discipline his mother, so he should also do that, starting from the relationship level, the boyfriend and girlfriend level, before they now go into marriage. And the girl has believed that that is the normal.
That is the normal.
So let me just go ahead with all of these things. But then there's a need to break that normal. That is violence. That's domestic violence. And domestic violence doesn't just end at, you know, intimate partner violence. That's the one everybody talks about.
Yeah.
The husband and the wife and all of that. You know, we have child molestation as well in domestic violence. We have people that beat up their old parents, you know, because you feel that you are old and you're older than
And
them,
helpless.
and they are helpless. So you get to beat them, you get to humiliate them, and all of that. It's
So
also
you
part of
actually
gender-based
classify
violence.
that under domestic violence?
Yes, it's also part of domestic violence.
Now,
Yeah.
migration
Yeah.
plays a key role too in domestic violence.
Yeah.
You know, each year, countless women and children flee from violence, and they leave home for an unknown place. Now, report has it that in the early 90s, 250,000 to 500 women were raped during the Bosnian and Rwandan war.
Yeah.
And 23% of female Burundians, you know, the refugees, experienced gender-based violence.
Yes.
Will we say now that it's on the increase or the decrease?
When you're talking about that, that is due to conflict. And there's a special day, I can't remember the month, but there's a special day, it's an international day for elimination of violence in conflict. Because we have all of these things. When you see that a woman is vulnerable, she needs a place to rest, she needs food, she needs all of this, then you see it as
An opportunity to violate her.
to violate her.
It happens very well around us.
Exactly.
Especially in schools.
Exactly. So it happens in a lot of, especially we have, I think during the Afghanistan crisis and all of that, there were some recorded cases of violence. You know, you just get to see violence, you know, in places and all of that. We have them everywhere, and it's a real issue. It's a big issue. And that's the reason why we take out that day to talk about it, to fight elimination of violence in conflict. Anybody that is vulnerable, help the person. It's not a time for you to start extorting from the person. Start saying, okay, if you don't give me this, I would not give you that. What does the person have at that particular time to give you?
Nothing.
Nothing. So the person just needs help from you because the person has been displaced from their home, their properties, and everything that they have. It's a time for you to help.
It's not just emotional violence.
Yes.
How do you explain psychological violence?
Psychological violence is also termed a mental health problem.
Okay.
Because it has to do with your mind. So psychological violence is also a very big issue because once a person is depressed, once a person has inferiority complex, once a person cannot stand and speak, then that is a real issue. So emotional violence, mental health problem needs to be dealt with. And we have depression. Depression is also a consequences in female genital mutilation because after some time when the girl grows, she's depressed. She's not able to talk to her mates and some other things. So I've seen it in these girls. So it's a mental health issue and it should be dealt with.
Aside from the women, who else is affected by sexual and gender-based violence?
Sexual and gender-based violence, like I defined it earlier, it's a violent act that affects a person due to their gender. So it doesn't just affect the women, it affects the men as well. It affects the boys, it affects the girls. So it's not just the women that it affects a whole lot of people. It's just that most times they don't get to report these cases.
Because of their ego.
So they don't get to report these cases. Even the men, they try to keep it to themselves. During our sensitization with road transport users, some of the men were saying that they have wives that can deal with them. They have wives that deals with them.
And you want them to come and report?
So they don't want to report because they can't even share it with their friends. That my wife...
They'll be seen as...
what's wrong with you? Are you not a man? And that's the problem with telling people to man up, when they don't have the strength to. So it's not everybody that can man up. If there's something that is going on, don't just man up. Report the case so that it can be dealt with because you will continue like that for years. and years to come if you don't address the issue. So speak up so that you can walk with your head high.
How do you identify victims of gender-based violence?
Okay, most times you have to learn about the violence. You cannot just see somebody crying and say, this person is a victim. So you learn about the violence. What's going on with this person? Why do I see marks on the person's body? Why do I see this? Why do I see that? Most times they will even tell you, when you even try to ask, they'll tell you, I fell from the staircase. I do this.
Which happens to women a lot, married women.
Exactly.
Who are suffering domestic violence.
Honestly. So they'll say, I fell from the staircase, I fell from this, because they don't want to open up. And most times it's because of their children. Most of the cases we've had and we've dealt with, they'll tell you, no, I can't live because of my child. I can't live because of my child. But then, after some time, if you don't leave, he will beat you one day, and it can lead to death. And at the end of the day, your children will now be house helps to the new wife he will get married to. So there's a need to, speak up. Tell people, this is what I'm going through, and I can't deal with this alone. I can't do this alone, so that people can help you. And you cannot just speak to anybody. Speak to people you trust. Find safe havens in your community.
But that's where people find it difficult.
Yeah.
Talking to people who will not even help them.
Mm-hmm.
Trust is betrayed. How can it be curtailed, or how can it be defined or solved?
Yeah. Trust is a big issue, and I cannot even tell you how to trust people or who to trust. But then we cannot say because of trust you will not speak up or you will not talk to people about what you're going through. So it's important that you speak to. If you can't trust your friend, then look for an elder. In your church, your religious gathering, look for someone there that you can talk to. That this is what I'm going through. The program I just concluded, the title was, My Voice is the Loudest. Now, I'm not talking about you screaming. I'm talking about you amplifying your voice. That this is what I'm going through. I need help. So that people can come to your aid. If you don't speak up, you continue to go through this over and over again till something happens.
Some get scared because of stigmatization.
Yeah.
So how will they handle it? Especially children or teenagers who are not matured enough to fend for themselves.
Yes.
or speak up for themselves. There are some kids, no matter how you try to bring them down, they are talking and they are shouting. But most times, because this affects them, they don't talk. So how can you help them?
Okay. I was sensitizing some people at the media, some interns, and I was talking to them about reporting cases of gender-based violence. Now, there are a lot of people that are going through these things, but then the questions you ask them matters a lot. The way you are looking at them, the way you look at them matters a lot. There's some of us, the way we look at them, they're already being judged by the way you look at them. So they don't even trust you. They won't even want to open their mouth to speak with you. So most times, that's why a lot of people say, why do you smile a lot? I learned it because I've seen a lot of people that, that are going through a lot of things. And once you see me, I smile. How are you doing? Hope you're fine. Somebody was talking to me about a girl that went to the police to report her case, and the police was asking her, so what were you doing there? Why did you go there? That's not the kind of question to ask. To ask somebody that is going through a violent act. She wouldn't even open up to tell you what the issue is. And I always advise the victims, your evidence matters a lot. Text messages, emails, pictures, videos of the events that has happened. Keep them so that you can, show to the police or whoever would help you.
We'll be going on a short break, and when we come back, we're still talking gender-based violence. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Feminine Scope with Sarah, and we have been discussing gender-based violence against women. We still have our guest in the studio, a certified gender-based violence advocate, Lois Aderomose.
Yeah.
We're back, Lois.
Yeah.
So, before we went on a break, you
Okay.
mentioned about having evidences. what, apart from email, text messages, what other things?
Take pictures of the event. We see some girls that have been raped, and after the event, they just quickly go and wash up themselves. It's very important that you take pictures. You keep evidences of what has happened. If there's anything that has been used during that event, keep them, take pictures so that people can see, and then you can be able to it can help them make their case. Because when you just go and you explain, what's of mouth is not enough to help you in your case, to fight everything you need to fight all the things you need to accomplish your case and all of that. So you need evidence. You need serious evidence. You need the emails, the texts, the pictures, and all of that to help build up your case.
Don't you think that economic reasons
Yeah.
keeps some of them back from reporting or making a case out of it?
Yes, there are economic reasons that affect people, but then there are NGOs out there that are set to help you. Just go up online. There are numbers you can call. The Ministry of Women Affairs, they have a number you can call. It's actually a toll-free number. I think that's what they call it. You can call for free, and then they would answer you and speak to them. There are people there to assist.
Are those numbers functional?
Yes, they are. They're functional. We give them out even today. They're functional.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a very, very good one.
Yeah.
So how can we, protect ourselves? Or how can a sexually abused person protect herself from being attacked? Because most people who attack these women are people they know.
Yeah.
Family
People they
members.
live with.
Yes.
So I would say that most times it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you are being beaten every day. It's not your fault that all of these things are happening to you. So if you are a victim, you can come out of it. You can actually come out of whatever you're going through. So if you're a victim and you are going through all of this, I got some tips from the National Crime Prevention Council that talks about the fact that you shouldn't stay out late, especially for those girls that are being raped. So don't stay out late. Don't open doors that you have closed with your keys. Probably somebody has gotten inside. So call the doctor. Call the police, call the judiciaries, people that can help you. And say, I locked my door, but now I'm finding out that the door is opened. Probably somebody is in there. So that, you don't just rush into those doors and all of that. Then alcohol, taking of alcohol. A lot of people just take alcohol, and because of that, it clouds their judgment. And then, they begin to beat their spouse, beat their kids, and all of that. So alcohol clouds your judgment. It's very important to avoid alcohol and all of that. Let's
see the law enforcement agents.
Okay.
How proactive have they been?
I cannot speak on their behalf. I can't speak on their behalf because...
But so far, the percentage...
Yeah, I can't give a percentage, but then there are people that are close to the NGO that once you speak to them about this, they pick up your case immediately. So there are people out there that are ready to help, especially these days. These days that after the COVID-19, we had a lot of cases. So we had some lawyers we have more lawyers going into these things. So I'm very happy that we have things like this going on. So it has helped a lot.
So we can say the judiciary has embraced it in totality.
Exactly, they have.
Wow.
And I'm happy, very happy.
Approximately 1 in 3 women and girls worldwide experience physical and sexual violence in their lives. Why is it that most of them don't speak out? You've mentioned it earlier, but one of the reasons I found out is that they're being stigmatized and ostracized from their family. How do you help people who their families have rejected?
People who their families have rejected, safe havens. You can create there are safe havens in places, so you can keep them in those places. Safe havens is like a shelter, yes.
Okay.
Shelter for people that are being displaced due to one of these problems or the other. But then when you're reporting a case, as a gender-based advocate, or, you know, you are a victim and you're trying to report a case and you don't want people to know that you are the person and all of that, you can keep yourself anonymous. The reason why we report cases is not just, you know, to fight for ourselves, but to also help other people that will be raped in the future, or that would have gone through any sexual assault in the future. So reporting your case is very, very important, because you can be kept anonymous and it can help a lot of girls out there.
Have you ever seen people who like whistleblow on behalf of the victims?
Yes, there are people like that. That's what I do.
Oh,
yes.
They come to you?
They come to me, I help them, you know, I talk to them, I link them up to people that can also help them. NGOs that can also assist if there's any need for those NGOs to assist. So I link them up with NGOs that can also assist. And, you know, with collaborative effort, we can work together and we achieve a common goal.
But do we have enough NGOs that handle this?
We have, the good thing is we have a lot of NGOs springing up these days, and some of them, most of them are handling it. We have NAPTIP, we have Save the Child, you know, we have a whole lot of NGOs helping out. And we have the Ministry of Women Affairs. In fact, they are doing a whole lot, because I've been working with them for some days now, and they are doing a whole lot. So you can go there, report to them, tell them what you're going through, and they will help you.
Some women who have faced this sexual abuse are not aware of some of these places you have mentioned. So how do you create awareness? Especially the ones in the rural areas.
Okay, I do community outreaches a lot. I just concluded one in October at the Isukaru's Palace in Nasarawa State. So I do community outreaches a lot. So I meet up with them. We give out numbers. We share flyers with them.
And do they call those numbers?
Most of them do. When they have problems, they call the numbers, and that's how we get to meet with them. We speak with them. We, you know, find out what the problem is, and we address it.
Because fewer than 40% of these women who are sexually abused seek help, and knowing how their families are to them. Would you say that family plays a major role, especially showing love to the members?
Yes, family plays a major role in all of this. It's just that, you know, when this act occurs, a lot of people are in shock.
Disbelief.
What just happened? Was she raped? Do you understand? So you'll be looking for help from your family, but they're still living in the shock that my sister was raped. So just give them time a little, they'll come around. Most victims complain of that when I'm going through this, my parents and my family are not there, they are not holding my hands and all of that. Most times they're in shock. What is happening? What just happened to her? And all of that. They don't know how to approach you, because they feel that they are the first contact to help you at that particular time. But because they are not there, they feel guilty. So give them time, they'll come around.
It's a whole lot, you know.
Yeah.
We all talk about gender-based violence. Yes, the men too, they are also involved in this, but because of the way they are built, they don't come out to speak out.
Yeah.
When you go to schools, especially the primary school level, how do you talk to them to come out and, you know, respond to whatever is going on
in their lives?
Like before we came on set, you talked about a child who had a cut.
Yes, I just concluded an outreach today at Government Science School in Nasarawa State, and in fact the feedback was a lot. It was a lot to take in. We had this girl that just dragged me, because I was the one that spoke throughout the event. We had this girl that dragged me. I was like, auntie, there's this guy in my school. He's even a student, in their school. There's this guy in my school, and he came to my house. He noticed my mom was not around. He tried forcing me. I think he was with knife or something. So he tore her fingers. He tore her fingers while they were struggling and all of that. So we had to report the case to their teachers to find out who that person is, because we have to deal with it at the school level before we take it up. We also had a girl that came. In fact, if you see her body, that was pure physical violence. All her body were filled with marks. She doesn't have any other clothes apart from the uniform she was wearing.
Like, seriously?
She was in deep tears. I have videos. She was in deep tears. So we had to speak to the woman in charge of the school, you know, the woman in charge of the females in the school, And all of the woman said, I've been seeing you since all these days. I took you to the hospital the other day. In fact, she was, I think they took her to the hospital and they fixed drip on her. They beat her to that extent that she had to fall sick. So the woman was like, I took you to the hospital the other day. Why didn't you speak up? So that now gives me, more, that gives me more encouragement to always go out and speak. Because once a teacher is with some set of children, they don't talk to you. They feel as if you have always been around and all of that. But then when they see new faces, they talk to them. Auntie, this is what is happening to me. This is what is happening to me.
Don't you think government should create a special curriculum for teachers, teaching them on how to identify a gender-based...
a victim.
Yeah, a victim, both male and female, because these children are so vulnerable that you can't help them. And because the violator is a family member, they can't, because they are always being threatened with death.
Yes, it's very important that they fix that into the curriculum, because from what I saw, the woman didn't even notice, probably because the girl was, their school uniform covers up everything. So the woman did not notice. But then there are signs to gender-based violence. Most times you see them, they are into themselves. They have inferiority complex. This child always speaks up. When you come to class, she's always jumping, shouting. Today she's quiet. Let's ask her, what is going on? Your duty as a teacher is not just to come, teach them the subjects you learned in school, and just leave. Your duty as a teacher is also to care for the children, the kids and teenagers you're teaching. So it's very important that you address their emotional needs as well. Emotional needs, I'm not talking about the fact that, you now say, okay, as a teacher, as a male teacher, you now start talking to a female and all of that. When you notice as a male teacher that a female child is going through one thing or the other, call another female teacher. Let the teacher know that this girl is going through a lot. Please speak with her. I think you would be in a good position to help her.
How do you, because this is a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
This is a lot. After talking with these children all the time, how do you feel? As an advocate, how do you feel?
I feel very sad. I feel really sad. But it helps me to move ahead. It makes me understand that there are challenges ahead, and if people like me are not out there, we would not, all of these things will just be going on, and these children will be suffering. The women will be suffering. The men, the boys will be suffering. So I just try to help. I just reorganize my mental health most of the time. I try to flush out some things so that I can think straight and address more issues.
So what are your last words?
Okay, so my last words are, it's not my responsibility. It's not Miss Amanda's responsibility. It's our responsibilities as citizens of Nigeria and everywhere around the world, if you're watching this. It's our responsibility to fight sexual and gender-based violence. It's not just a job thing for me. It's the fact that I understand that this person can be a sister, a brother to someone else. And my sister or my brother can be in this shoe. And I will expect someone else to also help them. So help everyone around you. Don't just shove it aside because the person is not your family member or it's not your concern. It's also your responsibility.
We sincerely appreciate you for taking out time to be with us today.
Thank you so much.
And we hope that when we call you again, you oblige us.
I would love to come.
Our guest has been Lois Aderomose, a gender-based violence advocate, an author and the founder of the Good News Club Philippine Mission. Finally, stopping this violence starts with believing survivors. Even as we look at ways to tackle the root causes, we need to transform harmful social norms and empower women and girls. With survivor-centered essential services across policy, justice, health, and social sectors, and financing for women agenda, we can end gender-based violence. That's the much we can take on this program. Until next week, bye-bye.